Hey, it's Owen at Happy, and today I'm going to take a look at the Grace FELiX2 and ROXi preamplifiers. Grace Designs are an extremely high quality audio manufacturer out of Lyons, Colorado, founded by brothers Mike and Eben Grace around 1994. Before then, the two brothers, both avid Deadheads, aka Grateful Dead fans, had been active in the Dead certified world of recording their live shows, and we're trying to figure out how to get the best sounding bootlegs to tape. After tinkering with preamp designs, the brothers launched the company with custom touring preamplifiers for new age artist Kitaro, which just happened to be launched around the time of the dawn of Pro Tools, and a brand new surge in desire for high quality standalone preamps. What we've got today are two analog boxes that are more so catered to stage performance than strictly studio use. The FELiX2 and the ROXi. The FELiX2 is a dual preamplifier for stringed instruments with two outputs that can be run separately or blended. Across the front, it's got a very well thought out selection of EQ options with a whole lot more going on around the back and side. More on that shortly. Now, what would you use these units for? The first thing that comes to mind is stage performance. Maybe you're doing an acoustic show and there's no sound person. In that case, you can control everything you need right in front of you with these units and not have to dart back and forth to a mixing desk. Or maybe the sound person at the same venue just kinda sucks and you can't trust them. Same thing. You can also use these boxes in the studio as straight up clean, pristine preamplifiers too. Over on the ROXi, we've got a pristine standalone mic preamp with, again, a great EQ selection and a nicely versatile effects, send and return scheme. We'll come back to this shortly too. Both of these boxes are designed exactly for purpose and are feature packed. I'll try to quickly walk you through them all before we have a little demonstration. Let's take a look at the FELiX2. The FELiX2 is an upgrade on the original Felix, but I'm not going to burn through a list of differences for you. Across the front, we've got a pair of audio channels you can use separately, together, or as a blend of the two. Each of the two channels has its own gain, high pass filter, low shelf, parametric mid EQ, high shelf, plus a foot switch controlled boost, a send to amp or headphones, and a mix knob. We've got foot switches to switch between inputs, a boost for some extra level, and a mute switch you can use while tuning so as not to punish your audience. Around the back, we've got an input for an IEC power cable that internally switches from 100 to 240 volts, so it can be used worldwide. A ground lift switch in case of ground hum, a pair of DI outs, which can be both selected to output either a mix or the respective single channel, and both are switchable from line to mic to cater for whatever you're plugging this thing into. Next up, we've got the out for the tuner, a line out to send to an amp, where you can choose a source, either channel 2 or a mix of both channels, and an FX send and return. Then next to this, we've got an XLR input for channel 1 that's switchable between mic and line level, plus 2 jack inputs, one for each channel. It's the kind of box you might use if you're running, say, an acoustic guitar and you want to mic it up and run an internal pickup simultaneously. Lastly, on the back, we've got impedance switches for both channel input. Let's head around the side now, where there's even more stuff. We've got a switch for phantom power in case you're using a condenser mic, phase flips for both channels, a trim pot for fine tuning the phase of channel 2, and then a set of 6 dip switches. The first 2 switch the high pass filter from that to a notch. The second 2 switch the parametric mid-range frequencies from 670Hz to 8K to 70Hz to 880Hz. The next allows you to power an electric mic, like what might be battery powered inside your acoustic guitar, with 12 volts. And lastly, a switch to change from mix to A and B separately. Told you there's a lot of features on this. Now, over to the ROXi. The ROXi is a more petite unit with just as high quality features as the FELiX2. I mean, take a look inside at the quality transformers of these things. By the way, both have internal dip switches to really mess around with the settings if you truly like customizing stuff. Across the top of the ROXi, we've got a gain control, a boost setting for when you flick that foot switch, an FX wet-dry blend knob, an amp level control, and a 3-band EQ. A low shelf for selectable mid-frequency boost and cut, and a high shelf. Down at the foot switches, we've got a boost or FX toggle, source selectable via dip switch, and a mute switch for tuning or simply shutting up. Across the back, we've got an IEC input for power, again powerable from 100 to 240 volts. Then there's a DI output with a ground lift switch. Next up, we've got 4 jack holes, an amplifier out for your onstage amp, a tuner out, and an FX send and return. Input wise, you can use either an XLR or 6.5mm jack, and a handy phase flip and a 48 volt supply button for your condenser mic. Around the side, we've again got 6 dip switches so you can flick between mic or line out on the DI, a high pass filter at either 75 or 150 Hz, an additional switch to turn this on or off, a 12 volt supply again for an electret mic, a 9 volt output for pedals on the side, and the choice to make your first foot switch either toggle the signal boost or toggle the FX insert. Down here there's also the 9 volt output, so you can use this thing as a supply for any pedals you wish to put in your FX chain. Great! Today I've got Jazz in to play banjo and sing through the units. I'll capture the guitar with a condenser mic and a direct line into the Felix 2. And we'll run the vocals through the ROXi with a reverb pedal in the FX send to add a little bit of something cool to the vocal. You'll hear the direct recorded output straight from the Grace design boxes. Whilst Jazz is playing, I'm going to adjust settings on the unit so you can hear some slight changes. I'm also going to be running the Felix in dual mode so we can get both channels at once. And the ROXi foot switch will be set to enable the FX send rather than the boost. I'll have the banjo mic panned a little to the right and the DI a little to the left, so you can tell what is what.
Come on, skinny love, just lost the year. Pour a little so we will never hear. My. Staring at a sink of blood and crushed veneer. And tell my love to wreck it all. Cut out all the ropes to let me fall. Oh my. Right in the moment this order's told. And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine, and I told you to be balanced, and I told you to be kind. And in the morning I'll be with you, but you will be a different kind. And I'll be holding all the tickets, but you'll be owning all the fines.
And there we have it, the Grace designed Felix 2 and ROXi preamplifiers. Now today I've shown both in a fairly standard setting of a mic and line into the Felix 2 and a vocal mic into the ROXi. But these things are built to be experimented with. You can run whatever you like through these in both studio or live settings, but at least to me, they kind of present themselves as live units for performer autonomy, especially with the wide-ranging flexibility of the EQs, because sometimes you can't trust the sound person, especially when it comes to vocal effects. But please, don't feel limited to vocals or stringed instrument when you could run horns and effects through the ROXi, or vocal and guitar through the Felix 2 simultaneously, whatever you fancy. The units are waiting and willing to accept your musical insertions. And you've got a few output options as well. Maybe you want to run the amp output to an onstage monitor. Do whatever you like. Both units have astounding clarity and depth and are exceptionally high quality builds. The gain on both can be pushed, and they sound cool being overdriven too, although I'm not entirely sure they're manufactured for this purpose. But I'm going to give it a try anyway. The Felix 2 retails for around $2,000 Australian, and the ROXi for around $1,400 Australian. Both are available from All Quality Music Ware's salespeople and come with an astounding 20-year warranty. I'll catch you next time for more stuff.